Listen. Music and movies just go together. I'm not saying that one medium's better than the other, because I clearly have a bias here with this movie channel. Music channel reviving soon. But while westerns come and go, superheroes we all know will one day retire, musicals are still going strong every year. Granted, there's not as much tap dancing as the old days, but they're still making it to the Oscars, regardless of if they're disrespected. Or we are, but like animation, it's a genre within genres. All a musical needs to qualify as being a musical is music. The rest can vary by a lot. It can be a family film or a midnight cult classic, a high school masterpiece or a zombie coming of age film. It can be an LSD trip or a demo reel. Nowadays, it's even the people who you least expected to be humming the soundtracks.
Me and Flex looking in the index for buff net niggas just for some hot butt sex.
So I wanted to make a video covering the 3 big ones so far this year, all time-stamped in case you don't want to, get any slight spoilers that I might be talking around so you could jump around between all of them. But I decided or figured I'd start with the one that's British. Let me explain. So Rocketman was easily my favorite one out of the bunch. Taron had already worked with Elton on Kingsman 2. He even covered one of his songs as a cartoon already. So when it came to this role, man, he knocked it out of the park. Of course, there's an entire list of things that were altered in this movie, but the fact that they went for a more across-the-universe approach instead of playing it straight like Bohemian, I think helps it. It probably would have made more money if it wasn't rated R, obviously, but I love that Elton was like, my life's not PG-13, so neither is the movie, and yeah, he didn't hold anything back from this.
For my next trick! I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
It's a trip where he's opened up completely about his childhood, and at no point do you feel like he was overlooking the production, as we've seen with other ones where you can tell producers looking at them telling him to tone it down, but here it's like he was asking for more.
Butt sex.
Of course, that caused Russia to edit out all of the gay scenes, and Samoa just straight up banned it, which is, it's crazy considering that they do allow his music over there. So it just kind of reminds me of an argument I once had with a youth pastor about Finding Dory, because he believed some random interaction between 2 cartoon females implied Disney had a gay agenda, and so he was going to stick with the original. Clearly not knowing who voices Dory. But again, I loved how open Elton was about this. He starts the movie by calling himself out. We get to see his childhood where his parents just ignored that he had this God-given talent and treated him like Matilda.
When are you going to hug me?
Don't be soft.
Go on. Pop up, say hello.
I'll see him tomorrow.
I should never have had children. Do you know how disappointing it is to be your mother?
The acting in this scene where he finally reveals to his mom that he's gay feels like a confession and more like he's waiting to be scorned with an "I told you so."
Frankly, I don't care. But I'd rather you keep that sort of thing to yourself. I just hope you realize you're choosing a life of being alone forever. You'll never be loved properly.
His dad even started a new family and said, seconds times the charm, never giving Elton closure.
Well, it looks like things worked out really well second time round, Dad. Yeah, I suppose they have. Oh, no. Would you make it out to Arthur? He's one of the blokes from work. Yeah, he's a big fan.
And then he even gets screwed by Rob Stark, who, look, I'm straight, but he probably would have swooned me over. He actually did swoon me over because I hadn't seen the trailers to it. I didn't know how his real life counterpart was, so I was pissed off when I realized that he was the bad guy.
You signed contracts with me years ago, so I'll still be collecting my 20% long after you've killed yourself.
I also really liked how they spent way more time on the struggle, all the moments before he was famous. It makes the entire movie feel like a memory, and he is narrating it from AA, so there is that point. But then there's all these creative decisions with the storytelling. They play with these black and white effects in order to make certain colors pop. They respect the audience enough to know all the cliche story beats that come with the rise to fame and rehab, marriage, divorce. They're really honing in on the magical side of this to the point that I almost forgot it was a biopic. I honestly think this bad boy would kill as a Broadway play. And that's probably because some of the artistic choices in the movie, I think, wouldn't come off as whimsical, because there were some effects that, Ugh. I love Bryce Dallas Howard Chastain. She's gorgeous in everything she's in, but this motion tracking aging effect that they put on her, it looked like Play-Doh. It looked like the Play-Doh they put on Leota's face for the identical. I'd caught this in Dolby, so, there were scenes where he was dancing and I thought I was with him. It was that good. But then there'd be a performance, obviously very stylized. Clearly it's meant to be the highlight of the movie since he's singing Rocketman and he turns into a rocket. I love the idea of it. I love what they were going for, but boy did it look like a shooting stars meme. Overall, I clearly loved it, regardless of some of the effects, but Taron was incredible. The final scene at the meeting where he gives his younger self a hug, showing how he's embracing his past and not letting it bring him down, yeah, that was incredible. And then the movie ends with this song.
I'm still standing better than I ever did.
I really did like this movie, so check it out. Check it out more than twice. Shout out to Elton for being 28 years sober and for finding proper love.
You gotta kill the person you were born to be in order to become the person you want to be.
Now, I caught this one at Sundance and figured I'd talk about it a bit here too. It's actually based on a memoir, which my dude also turned into a one-man show.
Bruce Springsteen grew up in New Jersey in Asbury Park. Probably know that. I grew up in Luton in Berry Park. I think I'm beginning to convince some of you guys.
I think if you're a fan of Sing Street, you're going to love this. I think both of these were cute, but where Rocketman uses his artist discography, I think the best plot-wise, to move it narratively, when it comes to how the music actually connects to a character, you would have sworn Bruce Springsteen was a minority with the way he connected with the working class. Yeah, at first I thought some of the lyric sing-along effects felt too much like a YouTube typography video, and I think they still kind of do, but really, when you're blasting music in private, it does kind of feel like that. You know that every time you get caught jamming to a song, you look like a fool. Unless you're wearing AirPods, of course. But there's a certain level of joy that just becomes contagious. Like, when you really fall in love with a movie and you can't stop talking about it, a song and you can't stop singing about it, like, there comes a point where only a psychologist can answer why you're connecting to it so much. I personally didn't grow up to Bruce Springsteen, so I didn't really sing along with all of the lyrics, but the themes still hold true. The son feels like his dad is holding him down, not realizing that he had his own dreams he wasn't able to follow. Since they're of Pakistani descent, the movie does deal with location and how even in his own hometown he doesn't feel like he's at home and dreams of a better place like America, which in the memoir, that bit is crazy because the real author's dream of coming to America ends up clashing when 9/11 happens, and as he puts it, my mother was crying. Those poor people, all they were doing was going to work. Who would do such a thing? Who are the idiots that would take innocent lives? Do they not have a conscience? Taking fathers from children? What are they saying? Do they know who did this? And the guy had to answer. They're saying it was Muslims. Luckily, it's 2019, and yeah, America is so much better right now, but having filmmakers who know and have lived this perspective really shows. Like the show Rami, which I've talked about, and his HBO special that I highly recommend, where you see the viewpoint of a group of people whose own home is made to feel like they're renting it by others. I'm curious to know what you guys think about this one. Again, I may not have liked it the most. Maybe I didn't connect to the music as much as I didn't grow up with him, but out of the three, I think it sparks the most post-film discussion. I don't want to say that this is my least favorite of the three, because then people automatically think like you hate it when you do think it's fine, it's good, but it is the least favorite of the three. This is the story of a struggling artist who, he's like really struggling.
You're not very attractive.
No.
You are out of shape.
Yes.
You are skinny yet somehow round.
Uh-huh.
You have been profoundly unsuccessful for 10 years.
Yep.
And until about a month ago, we'd call you a complete failure.
He bumps his head so hard he wakes up believing the Beatles never existed. He then becomes famous off of their music once Ed Sheeran makes an extended cameo, inviting him on tour and causing him to become the next big sensation. And I think the movie had its moments. I like a lot of the alternative jokes that they made, like with Coke. And I do think that the actor does a really good job singing. The Let It Be bit was hilarious because he's trying to introduce them to this song that he knows to be classic, so he's mad that they're disrespecting it. But to everyone else, it just sounds like he's cocky as hell about his new song.
Well, it's not Coldplay. It's not Fix You.
It's not bloody Fix You, Carol. It's a great, great work of art.
Wow. Somebody suddenly got very cocky.
I also thought the idea of Ed Sheeran was going to feel like, I don't know, like too corporate, if that makes any sense, because he's such a massive pop star. But they spent half of his scenes really just belittling him.
To play a ridiculous pop star, and who should pop into my mind but
Chris Martin.
That said, just like with A Star Is Born and how they used Willie Nelson's audience to be able to make that movie, I almost feel like they just needed Ed Sheeran's audience for the big scenes, or else it would have cost them a lot.
oddly enough, even if it had been Chris Martin, we probably would have come to you and asked if we could film your audience.
It is also kind of like Ed Sheeran in the best position possible, because him being here in a universe where the Beatles don't exist shows that he kind of would have still made it without the Beatles' influence or not. But at the same time, he's also saying that the Beatles are better than him. So it's like, it's an interesting thing, because in this world, Ed Sheeran, Coldplay, One Direction, it doesn't seem like any musicians have been affected. So, I don't really want to be a buzzkill to the movie, but that I know it's going for that magical aspect of what the Beatles mean to people, but sheesh, if all the artists can still be there, then it kind of makes them replaceable, if that makes any sense. And it's kind of funny, because I love the movie Steve Jobs, which Danny Boyle did, and a lot of people always tell me that the ending to that movie wraps up too nicely, it's too cheesy, and I just don't see it. I see it here. I'm gonna be honest, while I do want to give this movie another chance when I catch it, I just hated the way he treated his girlfriend, who was there from the start.
Ellie bought you a present. All my troubles seem so far away.
What am I saying? It's not even his girlfriend. She was like a girlfriend without any of the benefit. I wanted her to Midsommar him so bad.
I've been waiting half my life for you to wake up and love me.
Girl, why? Overall, I loved Elton's story in Rocketman and can't wait to see it on Broadway one day. Blinded by the Light's a cute movie, but make sure to check out the memoir it's based on also. And Yesterday may have the best music, but it had Lily James waiting on yet again another myth. That said, if Taron doesn't get nominated, I'm okay with him losing, but nominated, I'm snatching Rami Malek's chompers and scoping out the Academy members. Starting with Tom Holland. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Which of these three are your favorite? What other musicals would you like me to check out? I'd mentioned some like that are like really under the radar, that I usually think are really cute. I guess it's a difficult thing, because like Anna and the Apocalypse, none of the music related to me, but I did think it was a cute story. Like I thought it was interesting how they combined a musical into it, but it's this weird thing in where unless the music really pops off, or you have like an artist, that usually doesn't make it that big. But musicals are always there on a yearly basis. I feel like it's the one genre that'll never go away, but that again, because it's more like animation, it's not necessarily its own genre. It can be a scary movie or anything else. But I'm curious to know your recommendations. Some of the other things I did want to mention. Jamie Bell was incredible in Rocketman. Just wanted to mention that, because I know I didn't cover it in the main part. There was also supposed to be a Freddie Mercury cameo. Like actually, Rami Malek was supposed to appear as the same character, kind of doing like a cinematic universe. I don't know, kind of like the Tupac movie and what they did with that. That would have been weird. Also for Yesterday, they had shot the John Lennon scene in secret. I thought that was an interesting choice. It was also crazy to hear that some people hated that scene. They thought it was like disrespectful, but it's 2019. Man, you breathe, it's disrespectful. So I'm curious to know what your guys' thoughts are on these movies. Let me know down below in the comment section. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you a master of Abbey Road.